Hello, welcome to Nate Netflix. I'm Nate, you're you, and let's talk about a little girl with a little curl right in the middle of her forehead. When she was good, she was very good indeed, but when she was bad, she was horrid. I'm talking about Becky, y'all. Let's review this new 2020 horror movie. So right off the top, you're like, Nate, my man, what the hell was that? What was that intro? What are you doing? Well, A, that is a real poem by Henry Wadsworth, and B, that's a real poem that is actually recited by the titular Becky to the big bad played by Kevin James. She gets on a walkie-talkie, she's looking in at them from outside the house, and she sees this big mountain of a man surrounded by a bunch of tatted up croonies toting guns, and this little girl gets on the walkie-talkie and delivers that poem in a very ominous tone, pretty much saying, hey, I'm not scared about you guys. I know to you, I look like a sweet little innocent girl, and you know what? I can be that at times, but also I can be a real terror. I can be a horrid, just hell on earth, and that's what's about to be unleashed on you because I'm that bitch. So there you go. If you just wanted a little taste test, a little hint of what the flavor of this film Becky is, that's how I would deliver it to you. That's what I would tell you this movie is, because that's it in a nutshell, man. This is a home invasion movie that takes on a revenge flick kind of feel, and it's just a fun ride. This is a very tight script. I enjoyed all the performances. I saw some articles, some clickbait stuff that was like, you know, hey, don't watch this movie because casting Kevin James as a horror villain, that's just stunt casting. And at first, you know, I was kind of like, could be. I haven't heard much about this movie, just found out about it a couple days ago, but I was interested to see what Kevin James would do, and he's good. He's very good. I bought into him. He feels like he belongs in this movie, in this role. He delivers all of his lines with just the right amount of menace. He has presence. Dude's been working out for this role, and like I said, you just buy in, and he's physically imposing and threatening, and he does some really nasty things in this movie, and you're constantly like, oh crap, what's he going to do next if he has the chance? So that's great. Joel McHale, he's in this movie. He plays Becky's father. I do wish he had more to do in this film, but Joel McHale is just always a win, and when he is on screen, you know, hey, he's delightful, and he's also just really important to the plot of this film. And then the other standout is, of course, Becky herself. Becky, man, played by Lulu Wilson. If you don't know this girl, you will in due time. What a really awesome young actress for the horror genre to have. She now has this film, Becky. She has Ouija, Origin of Evil, and she was also an Annabelle Creation. And it's just really cool to see her kind of like come into her own and mature as an actress, because she's a bit older here in this role than she was in those previous two films. And this film gives her more to do, more to kind of chew on, and she does it with such aplomb. This is a tough role because Becky is a character that is just riddled with a lot of tough emotions. She is a storm of rage inside because she lost her mother recently and she hasn't reached the acceptance phase. I don't know if this character ever will, and sometimes that happens, but that's exacerbated by the fact that her father, he has reached the acceptance phase. He's trying to move on with his life. He's found new love. He wants to take Becky and this new woman and her child to their summer home to announce their impending nuptials, to tell Becky, hey, you know, we're going to be a family. This is going to be our new unit, which of course Becky doesn't handle well, and that's completely understandable, but also it really informs her character. That's one of the strengths of this film. They do a lot with show, not tell. They use flashbacks, they use character designs, they use wardrobe, so they give you a lot about this character's personality and who they are at their core. Like when you look at Becky, she looks just unlike everyone else in the cast. Everyone else looks very modern. They're wearing very normal, casual day wear, but Becky, she's wearing this like quirky, rebellious teen girl kind of attire, and it just gets more and more kind of weird but fun as the movie goes on, as she has to transform to take on these bad guys and inherit a new headspace. She changes more. She puts on this little like fox beanie. It's just a fun little touch that adds so much information about this character. And then I mentioned Kevin James. So if you're like, well, okay, how's this Kevin James guy coming into this lake home? What's that setup? That sounds like it could be a bit cliche. Well, that's what I was worried about, but that's where this movie takes like a slight little twist that I think is a bit fun. Because Kevin James, he is a fugitive. When this movie starts, he is in prison, and they are transporting him and his cronies, his fellow Aryan Brotherhood members, to another facility, and they launch a plan that sees them escaping. But they have to go to the lake home because before being incarcerated, Kevin James stashed this all-important key beneath the house. And this is where I was like, okay, come on, what is it going to be with this key? Because this script has been really tight, it's been really smart so far. Don't be stupid. Don't just be a key that goes to some vault somewhere where there's a bunch of gold bars and money. Don't make it treasure or anything dumb like that. And I'm happy to say that they don't, but I'm not spoiling anything here because it's still a little bit of a mystery. It's just a good inclusion though, because Joel McHale's girlfriend, she's screaming at this Kevin James character. She's like, what do you want? What could make all this worth it? How could anything be worth all of this trouble and all this pain you're inflicting? Is it money? And Kevin James' character is like, no, you wouldn't understand, but trust me, you want me to get this key. And that's where all of a sudden you're like, that's interesting, because he's obviously a racist douchebag. I mean, dude's got a giant fat swastika right on the back of the noggin. But why would he think that everybody would want him to get this key? It's interesting. And we see later that, you know, Becky, she's had this key the entire film and she's refusing to give it up, but we get a shot of her kind of holding the key and looking at it, and it's like that thing is calling to her. It's shot with such intent by the director. It's telling you that there's more to this key. It's not just some like little physical trinket that's just solely a part of our world. It doesn't feel like that. It feels like it takes on more meaning. It feels like Frodo with the ring or some crap like that. So I'm interested to see what you guys think that ring, or sorry, what that key is, if you've seen this film, because when I saw her looking at it, I noticed that there are 3 little triangles interlocked on the key, and I was like, what that means. So I went online, I did some research, and I found out that that is the Volt nut. Now, I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, sorry if I butchered that pronunciation, but the Volt nut, it's associated with Germanic paganism and also the god Odin, and pretty much Odin would use this symbol. It would give him power to kind of mess with everybody's minds, to manipulate them and turn man against itself so that he could get away with all sorts of malfeasance and just continue to warp their minds and lead them in constant strife. So that's interesting because obviously, you know, Jill McHale's girlfriend, she's a black woman, she has a black son, and she's sitting across from Kevin James, this man covered in racist jail tattoos. So obviously race is a thing here, and we're talking about this god kind of coming in and turning man against himself, even though we're not exactly sure why we do it. So it's interesting, and it's like, so what would happen then if he got this key? Is he wrong? Does he just have this really like gross worldview because of who he is, and he thinks that, you know, hey, if we do this, we could segregate the populations and we could find peace that way? We obviously know that that's not right. There'd still be strife in those other communities, and we'd be way worse without that diversity and everybody kind of being in together. Is it that? Is it just his worldview's kind of crazy, or is there more to it? Because like I said, that key has some pull to it. Becky feels a draw towards the key. So be sure to comment below what you think that key is. If you've seen this movie, if you haven't seen this movie, I highly recommend you do, because like I said, the performances are really good. The music in this is awesome. The direction is, to me, it's well above the standard horror movie direction. There's just a lot of good stuff in this movie, and it flies by. So if you were just looking around on VOD for some options, you could do way worse than Becky, because let's face it, in 2020 we're not getting a lot of new horror movies because 2020 be 2020. But other than that, you guys have a fantastic day. I am Nate for Nate Flick saying that's a wrap.